Okay. So I'll be speaking on clinical trials in diabetic retinopathy and their practical implications. Uh, these trials, which were done to see the systemic control of diabetes on diabetic retinopathy way back in 1990s, diabetes control complication trial, Euclid's, UKPDS, ACCORD study, field study, they all showed metabolic control is of paramount importance to reduce the progression of diabetic retinopathy. So basically, it is a multimodality treatment. And as far as the treatment of diabetic retinopathy and diabetic macular edema is concerned, we have come a far way from laser photocoagulation, intravitreal steroid injections, and now we are into anti-VEGF era. And the focus of treatment has shifted from CSME to central involving diabetic macular edema. So we have all of those questions, which patient to treat with anti-VEGF or laser or steroid, what to use. So various clinical trials, they have given us insight how exactly we should treat such patients. So READ2 trial was to see whether laser treatment in conjunction with anti-VEGF has additional benefit or not. So this was a study where patients were assigned to grid laser alone, ranibizumab alone, and ranibizumab with grid alone. So it was seen that the patients who were assigned with the only ranibizumab monotherapy, they had a more better visual outcome in terms of 7.24 letters if you compare with other groups, and better visual acuity at 12 months time. And interestingly, it was seen that if you're adding laser to VEGF therapy, anti-VEGF therapy, it resulted in fewer ranibizumab injection without a major disadvantage in visual outcome. And that exactly we run into our clinical practice also. We do laser photocoagulation and the macular edema has come down to reduce the number of injections. RESTORE was another study which was a 12-month phase 3 trial to see the ranibizumab monotherapy or ranibizumab combined with laser or laser monotherapy. And injections were given minimum of 3 injections till the disease stability was achieved, and they were reinitiated when the disease recurred again. And in this study, the mean visual acuity at 12 months was also significantly better, the patient who received this anti-VEGF monotherapy from patient who received laser monotherapy. And there was improvement of more than 10 letters in patients. Basically, it was 37.4% with ranibizumab monotherapy and 43% again with the treatment was combined with laser. So, but in the laser group, the visual recovery was not good. Another issue was to see whether these drugs, anti-VEGF drugs, how efficacious they are and what is their systemic safety. So this was answered by RESOLVE trial, where the patients were assigned to sham treatment, ranibizumab 0.3 milligram and 0.5 milligram, and the dose was increased after 1 month if there was no effect with the previous lesser dosage. And photocoagulation after 3 injections was required as a rescue treatment wherever required. And if you see clearly, the patients who had ranibizumab group, they had better visual acuity of 9.6 letters and than the sham treatment. And even the central retinal thickness was much less in patients who received monotherapy. And as far as the safety and of this drug was concerned, there was no any increased rate of cardiovascular, cerebrovascular accident, or no ocular side effects were seen. Another question was whether laser, steroid, or anti-VEGF therapy, which is better. So this was answered by protocol I to see the effect on diabetic macular edema. And the patients were assigned to sham or prompt laser treatment, ranibizumab with prompt laser treatment, or ranibizumab with deferred laser, and triamcinolone plus prompt laser. And this study showed that more than 50% of the patients had more than 10 letter visual acuity gain, while 30% gained more than 15 letters with anti-VEGF and steroid treatment. And this steroid treatment was especially beneficial in pseudophakic eyes, and that exactly we also follow. In pseudophakic eyes, we give intravitreal Ozurdex injection for such patients. So the question is, which treatment regime to choose, whether we should give monthly injection, or we should choose PRN therapy, or we should make it treat and extend therapy. So this was answered by a RETAIN study. And in this study, the patients are assigned to ranibizumab with laser, treat and extend ranibizumab, and PRN ranibizumab group. And if you see this in treat and extend therapy, 3 injections were given as a loading dose. If the vision was stable, then and again 1 month period was given, and the injections were given after 2 months. If the vision was stable, then again gap of 2 months was, from 1 month it was extended to 2 months. So this was how the treat and extend regime was formulated. If you see all the patients in whether it was a treat and extend PRN or monthly regime, all these patients were having good visual acuity at 24 months. And the lesser number of injections were required, the patients who received the treat and extend therapy. So basically, treat and extend therapy reduces the number of injections and reduces number of visits to your clinic. And it may be an optimal therapy in terms of giving good visual outcome. And in cases of persistent DME, this was protocol due to see the evaluation of combination of dexamethasone with ranibizumab versus ranibizumab alone for persistent central involvement diabetic macular edema. And the patients are assigned to sham and ranibizumab treatment and dexamethasone with anti-VEGF therapy. And this is how you can see the visual outcome was almost good in both the cases. But the retinal thickness was more significant where the patient received both dexamethasone and ranibizumab. But if you look at the increased IOP, which was seen only in combination therapy, none of the cases with ranibizumab group. And eyes with at least non-ocular adverse event was more in combination group than ranibizumab group. So mean visual improvement at 6 months was as good in combination group and as good in monotherapy group. But yes, reduction in retinal thickness was more with steroid and ranibizumab group. So I think even monotherapy is also good for that treatment. In protocol T, aflibercept, bevacizumab, or ranibizumab for diabetic macular edema were given. And this was the first head-to-head trial of all the 3 anti-VEGF therapy. And overall, if you see the maximum visual gain was aflibercept group, if you compare with bevacizumab and ranibizumab group. And central thickness was also less in this aflibercept group. Protocol V was to see the effect of initial management with aflibercept versus laser photocoagulation versus observation on visual loss among patients who had visual acuity of more than 20/25. And it was seen that there was no effect whether you give the treatment or don't give treatment, and the visual acuity remains same in all the cases. So it says that if vision is better than 20/25, you should not give any treatment to such patients, just observation. In protocol W, effect of intravitreal anti-VEGF therapy with versus sham treatment for prevention of vision-threatening complication of diabetic retinopathy in moderate to severe NPDR without central involvement diabetic macular edema was seen. And patients were assigned to 2 milligram of aflibercept or sham treatment given at 1, 2, and 4 months, and every 4 months through 2 years. And aflibercept was administered in both the groups in case there was central involvement diabetic macular edema. And 2-year cumulative probability of developing PDR was much less in aflibercept group than in the sham group. But we need to see whether how effective it is going to be in terms of patient management from the cost point of view, and also the number of injections we give. It is also for informative for the patient also. So to conclude, metabolic control is of paramount importance. Anti-VEGF is a practical choice for central involvement. Treat and extend seems to be a better regime, and steroids are indicated. Thank you very much.